The forest screamed with silence. The kind that chokes you before you realize you're gasping. Ethan Caldwell, barely 20, stumbled through the underbrush, his sneakers sinking into the damp earth of the Olympic Peninsula. Blood dripped from a gash on his arm, each drop a beacon for the thing, the wolf that hunted him. He'd heard the stories growing up in Port Angeles, whispers of creatures that weren't quite human, lurking in the shadows of the Pacific Northwest. Old fishermen at the diner spun tales of glowing eyes and men who vanished under full moons. Ethan, a barista with dreams bigger than his small-town life, had laughed them off until tonight, when the snarling beast with silver fur cornered him against a cedar tree. Its teeth had grazed his skin, a shallow bite, before a second wolf black as midnight, massive and radiating raw power slammed into it, tearing it away. Ethan's vision blurred as he collapsed, the world tilting into darkness. When he woke, the black wolf was gone, and a man knelt over him, broad-shouldered, with storm-gray eyes and a jawline sharp enough to cut through the fog. "You're safe," he growled, voice low and rough, like gravel under boots. "But you're not the same anymore." His name was Lucas Kane, and he was no ordinary man. He was an alpha, leader of a hidden pack that called the forest home. The bite on Ethan's arm, though not deep, had been enough to trigger something ancient, something primal. Lucas had bitten him too, not to harm, but to save, to bind Ethan's life to his own and pull him back from the edge of death. Now, Ethan was changing, his senses sharpening, his body humming with a restless energy he couldn't name. Worse, Lucas could smell him, every spike of fear, every flush of desire, every secret Ethan didn't even know he was keeping. And Lucas, damn him, wanted Ethan just as badly. Ethan's first week as a wolf in training, as Lucas gruffly called it, was hell wrapped in wonder. His days at the coffee shop became torture. The scent of espresso beans and burnt sugar now overwhelmed him, and every customer's heartbeat pounded in his ears. At night, Lucas dragged him into the woods for lessons in control, how to quiet the beast clawing inside him, how to move silently, how to listen to the forest's pulse. Lucas was relentless, his commands sharp but his touch gentle when Ethan faltered. "You're fighting it," Lucas said one night, pinning Ethan against a tree during a sparring session. Their breaths mingled, and Ethan's pulse raced not from fear, but from the heat of Lucas's body so close to his. "Stop resisting. Let it flow." "I don't know how," Ethan snapped, shoving Lucas back. His cheeks burned, and he knew Lucas could sense a spark of attraction that flared every time they were near. Lucas's eyes darkened, a low growl rumbling in his chest. But he stepped away, leaving Ethan aching and confused. The pack wasn't much help. There was Mia, a sharp-tongued beta with a knack for tracking. Javier, a quiet omega who watched Ethan like he was a puzzle to solve. And Tessa, Lucas's second-in-command, who didn't trust Ethan one bit. "You're a liability," she spat during a pack meeting in a hidden cabin. "A human who smells like prey but carries an alpha's mark. You'll get us all killed." Ethan wanted to argue, but the truth stung. The rogue wolf that attacked him was still out there, part of a rival pack that wanted Lucas's territory, and now Ethan was a target, a weak link. Lucas, though, never wavered. "He's mine to protect," he told the pack, his voice a quiet storm. "Anyone who challenges that answers to me." The words sent a shiver through Ethan, not just because of the danger, but because of the possessiveness in Lucas's tone. It wasn't just duty. It was something deeper, something that made Ethan's heart pound and his skin tingle. Lucas felt it. Ethan could see it in the way his gaze lingered, the way his hands hesitated before pulling away. But the forest wasn't safe, and neither was Ethan's heart. The rogue pack was closing in, their howls echoing through the nights. Lucas trained Ethan harder, pushing him to embrace the wolf inside. But every lesson brought them closer too close. One night, under a crescent moon, Ethan tripped during a run, and Lucas caught him. Their bodies pressed together in the moss. "You're not weak," Lucas murmured, his lips brushing Ethan's ear. "You're mine." Ethan's breath hitched, and for a moment, the world was just them, two hearts beating too fast. Two souls caught in a dance they didn't know the steps to. But then a howl split the air, sharp and menacing, and Lucas's grip tightened. "They're coming," he said, pulling Ethan to his feet. "And they won't stop until one of us is dead." By the second week, Ethan's life was unrecognizable. The coffee shop was a distant memory. He'd quit after accidentally shattering a mug during a sensory overload. His nights belonged to the pack now. To Lucas. To the wildness he was only beginning to understand. But the pull between him and Lucas was becoming impossible to ignore. Every touch, every glance, was a spark threatening to ignite. Lucas taught him to track, to scent the air for danger. But Ethan was distracted by Lucas's own scent: pine, leather, and something uniquely him. One evening, as they crouched by a stream, Lucas caught Ethan staring. "You're not focusing," he said, but his voice was soft, almost amused. "I'm trying," Ethan muttered, his face hot. "You're distracting." Lucas's laugh was low. "Dangerous. You have no idea what you do to me." He leaned closer, his breath warm against Ethan's neck. "I can smell every time you want me. It's driving me insane." Ethan froze, his heart hammering. He wanted to say something brave, something bold, but all he managed was a whispered, "Then why don't you do something about it?" For a moment, Lucas looked like he might. His hand grazed Ethan's jaw, his eyes burning with need. But then he pulled back, jaw tight. "Not yet," he said. "Not until you're ready. Not until this is over." Ethan didn't know if he meant the rogue pack or something else entirely. All he knew was that Lucas was holding back, and it hurt as much as it thrilled him. The danger wasn't just external. Ethan's transformation was accelerating his strength, his speed, his hunger. He woke from dreams of running on four legs, of tasting blood, of Lucas's hands on him. The bite had linked them in ways Ethan couldn't fully grasp. But Lucas explained it one night by the fire. "My bite saved you," he said, staring into the flames. "But it also tied us. I feel you, Ethan. Every fear, every want. And you'll feel me too. Soon enough." Ethan's throat tightened. "What if I don't want to feel you?" Lucas's gaze met his, raw and unguarded. "You already do." The rogue pack struck on a moonless night. Ethan was alone, practicing in a clearing, when the air turned sour with their scent. Three wolves emerged, their eyes glinting with malice. Ethan's instincts screamed to run, but Lucas's training kicked in. He fought, clumsy but fierce, until Lucas and the pack arrived, tearing into the rogues with lethal precision. When it was over, Lucas was at Ethan's side, checking him for wounds. "You're okay," he said, relief flooding his voice. His hands lingered, and Ethan couldn't stop himself, grabbed Lucas's jacket and pulled him close, their lips crashing together in a kiss that was all heat and desperation. Lucas kissed him back, hard and hungry, before pulling away with a growl. "Not here," he said, breathless. "Not like this." But Ethan saw the truth in his eyes. Lucas wanted him just as much. And as the pack retreated to their safe house, Ethan knew one thing for certain: the rogue pack wasn't the only thing threatening to tear them apart. The safe house was a weathered cabin tucked deep in the forest, its walls scarred with claw marks from battles long past. Ethan sat by the fire, his lips still tingling from the kiss. His mind a storm of want and fear. Lucas stood across the room, barking orders to the pack. But his eyes kept finding Ethan, heavy with unspoken promises. The rogue pack's attack had been a warning, not a defeat. They were led by Silas, a former ally of Lucas's who'd turned traitor. Hungry for power, Silas wanted the territory, the pack, and most dangerously Ethan. He smells the Alpha's mark on you, Tessa said, her voice cold as she sharpened a blade. It's a challenge to him. You're not just a liability, no, you're a prize. Ethan's stomach twisted. He wasn't a fighter. Not yet. But the thought of being anyone's prize made his blood boil. He caught Lucas's gaze. And for a moment, the room faded. There was only them. The pull between them like a tether stretched too tight. Focus, Lucas said, breaking the spell. He tossed Ethan a knife. Its handle worn but balanced. You're not helpless. Not anymore. Training became brutal. Lucas pushed Ethan to his limits, teaching him to channel the wolf's strength without losing himself. Every sparring match ended with them tangled too close, breathless, their bodies humming with a current neither could deny. One night, after Ethan pinned Lucas to the ground, a rare victory, Lucas grabbed his wrist, pulling him down until their faces were inches apart. You're getting stronger, he murmured, his voice rough with pride and something darker. Ethan's heart pounded. Strong enough for you. Lucas's grip tightened, his thumb brushing Ethan's pulse. More than you know. But the moment shattered when Mia burst in, her face pale. Silas's pack, they hit the eastern ridge. They left a message. She held up a bloodied cloth, the scent sharp and wrong. Scrawled in dirt on the fabric was a single word, Ethan. The pack moved fast, fortifying the safe house and setting traps. Ethan tried to keep up, but the weight of being a target pressed on him. He wasn't just fighting for himself, now was fighting for Lucas. For the pack. For a life he hadn't chosen but couldn't walk away from. Lucas took him aside one evening, leading him to a quiet overlook above the valley. The stars were sharp, the air crisp with pine. You're scared, Lucas said. Not a question. Ethan laughed bitterly. You can smell that too. Huh? Lucas stepped closer, his warmth cutting through the chill. I smell everything. Your fear, your courage, your heart. His voice softened. I didn't ask for this bond, Ethan, but I don't regret it. Ethan's breath caught. What are we doing? Lucas. This. Us. It's impossible. Nothing's impossible, Lucas said, his hand finding Ethan's. Not when I can feel you like this. They stood there, hands clasped, the world holding its breath. Ethan wanted to kiss him again, to let the fire between them burn everything else away. But the weight of Silas's threat loomed, and Lucas's duty to the pack pulled him back. We end this first, Lucas said, his voice firm but his eyes soft. Then we figure out us. The next attack came at dawn. Ethan woke to howls and the crash of splintering wood. Silas's pack had breached the perimeter, their numbers overwhelming. Lucas fought like a force of nature, his black wolf form a blur of fury. But Ethan saw the toll it took. Every snarl, every wound, was for him. Ethan threw himself into the fight, his newfound strength surprising even himself. He took down a rogue wolf, his knife finding its mark, but not before claws raked his side. Pain seared through him. But Lucas was there, pulling him to safety. Stay with me, Lucas growled, his hands pressing against Ethan's wound. I'm trying, Ethan gasped, his vision swimming. Lucas's eyes were wild, desperate. You don't get to leave me. Not now. The pack drove the rogues back, but the cost was heavy. Javier was injured, and the safe house was barely standing. As Mia bandaged Ethan's side, Lucas paced like a caged animal. "This ends soon," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "Silas wants a war. He'll get one." Ethan grabbed his arm, ignoring the pain. "You don't have to do this alone." Lucas looked at him, his expression raw. "I'm not alone. Not anymore." That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. The bond with Lucas was stronger, now could feel Lucas's anger, his fear, his need, like a second heartbeat. He found Lucas outside, staring at the moon. "You're not sleeping either," Ethan said, sitting beside him. Lucas didn't look at him. "I can't stop thinking about you." Ethan's chest tightened. "Then don't." Lucas turned, his eyes burning. "You don't know what you're asking. This bond, it's not just love. It's blood. Instinct. Forever. If we give in, there's no going back." Ethan reached for him, fearless for the first time. "I don't want to go back." Their kiss was slower this time, deeper, a promise sealed in the dark. But as Lucas pulled him close, a distant howl broke the night, and Ethan knew Silas was coming for them, and nothing would stop him. The forest was a battlefield, the air thick with the scent of blood and pine. Ethan's side ached, but he moved with the pack now, his steps sure, his senses sharp. Lucas had trained him well, but nothing prepared him for the chaos of war. Silas's pack attacked relentlessly, their numbers growing as stragglers from other territories joined their cause. Lucas was a force of nature, his black wolf form tearing through enemies with a grace that was both beautiful and terrifying. Ethan fought beside him, his own wolf clawing closer to the surface with every strike. The bond between them pulsed, a lifeline in the chaos. Ethan could feel Lucas's strength, his resolve, and it fueled him to keep going. But Silas was cunning. He didn't just want the territory. He wanted to break Lucas. During a skirmish, Ethan was separated from the pack, lured into a ravine by a rogue's taunting howl. Silas was waiting, his wolf form massive, his eyes gleaming with malice. "You're the key," he snarled, shifting to human form, his voice dripping with venom. "Lucas's weakness. I'll take you, and he'll fall." Ethan's heart pounded, but he held his ground. "You don't know him." Silas laughed, circling him. "I know he'd die for you. And he will." Before Silas could strike, Lucas's roar shook the trees. He launched himself at Silas, their bodies a blur of claws and teeth. Ethan scrambled to help, but Tessa pulled him back. "This is his fight," she said, her voice tight. "Don't make it harder." The battle was brutal, each blow a thunderclap. Lucas was stronger, but Silas was relentless, exploiting every moment of distraction. When Ethan shouted Lucas's name, Silas seized the chance, raking claws across Lucas's flank. Blood sprayed, and Ethan's scream echoed through the ravine. But Lucas didn't falter. With a surge of power, he pinned Silas, his jaws closing around the rogue's throat. Silas yielded, whimpering, and his pack scattered into the night. Lucas staggered, bloodied but victorious, and Ethan ran to him, catching him as he shifted back to human form. "You're an idiot," Ethan choked out, tears burning his eyes as he pressed his hands to Lucas's wounds. Lucas managed a weak smile. "You're idiot." The pack retreated to a new safe house, a hidden cave system carved into the cliffs. Lucas's wounds were deep, and Ethan refused to leave his side as Mia stitched him up. The bond between them was unbearable now. Ethan felt every pulse of Lucas's pain, every flicker of his strength. "You need to rest," Ethan said, his voice breaking. Lucas grabbed his hand, his grip weak but fierce. "I need you." Ethan's heart cracked open. He leaned down, pressing his forehead to Lucas's. You have me. Always. The pack was fractured, their numbers dwindling. Tessa took charge while Lucas recovered, her distrust of Ethan softening into grudging respect. You fought well, she admitted one night, handing him a bowl of stew. Maybe you're not such a liability. Ethan smiled faintly. High praise. But the victory over Silas was temporary. Scouts reported his pack regrouping, stronger than before. Lucas, still healing, pushed himself to plan the next move. But Ethan saw the strain in his eyes. You can't keep doing this, Ethan said, cornering him in the cave's dim light. You're not invincible. Lucas's jaw tightened. I have to be. For you. For them. Ethan stepped closer, his voice soft but firm. Let me help. I'm not the kid you saved anymore. Lucas looked at him, his eyes softening. I know. That's what scares me. Their kiss was desperate, a clash of fear and love. But it was cut short by Javier's Shoutrogue scouts had been spotted near the cave. Lucas pulled away, his face hardening. This ends now, he said, one way or another. The pack prepared for a final stand. Ethan trained harder, his wolf side no longer a stranger but a partner. He could shift now, briefly, his senses alive in ways he'd never imagined. Lucas watched him with pride, but also fear. Ethan could feel it through their bond, a quiet dread that this fight might cost them everything. One night, as they lay together in the cave, Lucas traced the scar on Ethan's arm, the mark of the bite that had changed everything. I never wanted this for you, he whispered. This life, this danger. Ethan turned to him, his heart full. I'd choose it again, because it gave me you. Lucas pulled him close, their bodies fitting together like they were made for it. For the first time, they let themselves give in, their love a quiet rebellion against the war waiting outside. It wasn't just passion, it was trust, a promise to face whatever came next together. But dawn brought reality crashing back. Silas's pack was moving, their howls a promise of bloodshed. Lucas gathered the pack, his voice steady despite his wounds. We fight for our home, he said, for each other. Ethan stood beside him, no longer the scared boy from Port Angeles. He was a wolf, a fighter, a man in love. And as the pack marched into the forest, he knew this battle would define them all. The final battle came at twilight, the sky bleeding red over the Olympic Peninsula. The pack stood together, a ragged but unbroken line against Silas's forces. Ethan's heart thundered, but he felt Lucas beside him, their bond a steady pulse of strength. They were outnumbered, but they were fighting for something bigger than territory, for family, for love, for a future they could choose. Silas emerged from the trees, his wolf form massive, his eyes locked on Ethan. Last chance. Pup, he snarled, shifting to human form for all to hear. Join me, or watch your alpha die. Ethan's laugh was sharp, fearless. You don't get it, Silas. I'm not his weakness. I'm his strength. Lucas's growl was a low rumble of pride, and the battle erupted. Wolves clashed, teeth and claws flashing in the fading light. Ethan fought with a ferocity he didn't know he had, his wolf side fully awake. He and Lucas moved as one, their bond guiding every strike, every dodge. Mia and Tessa were relentless, carving through rogues with deadly precision, while Javier guarded the flank, his quiet courage a steady anchor. But Silas was a nightmare. He targeted Lucas, his attacks brutal and calculated. Ethan saw the moment Lucas faltered, a claw catching his shoulder, and something snapped inside him. He launched himself at Silas, his wolf form surging forward for the first time. The shift was raw, painful, but it felt right, like he was finally whole. Ethan's teeth found Silas's flank, drawing blood. Silas roared, turning on him. But Lucas was there, their combined strength overwhelming the rogue leader. Together, they brought Silas down, his body crumpling to the earth. The rogue pack, leaderless, scattered into the night, their howls fading to silence. The pack stood victorious, but the cost was heavy. Blood stained the ground, and Javier's arm hung limp, his face pale but smiling. Lucas pulled Ethan close, their breaths ragged, their bodies trembling. "You were incredible," Lucas whispered, his voice thick with emotion. Ethan grinned, exhausted but alive. "We were incredible." The weeks that followed were a time of healing. The pack rebuilt, stronger for their scars. Ethan learned to balance his human and wolf sides, guided by Lucas's steady hand. Their bond grew deeper, no longer just instinct, but a choice they made every day. They stole moments in the forest, kisses under starlight, laughter that drowned out the echoes of war. One evening, as they sat by the stream where they'd first admitted their feelings, Lucas took Ethan's hand. "I thought I'd lose you," he said, his voice quiet. "I thought I'd lose everything." Ethan squeezed his hand, his heart full. "You didn't. And you won't." Lucas smiled. "A rare, unguarded thing. Marry me, Ethan. Not because of the bond, but because I love you." Ethan's breath caught, tears pricking his eyes. "Yes," he whispered, pulling Lucas into a kiss that felt like a vow. The pack celebrated, their cheers echoing through the trees. Even Tessa cracked a smile, raising a glass of whiskey in their honor. "To love," she said, her voice softer than Ethan had ever heard. "And to fighting for it." Years later, Ethan and Lucas stood together in a new home, a cabin they'd built with their own hands. The pack had grown, new members joining, their territory safe. Ethan no longer worked at the coffee shop, but he'd started a community center in Port Angeles, a place for misfits and wanderers to find a home. Lucas, still the alpha, led with a quiet strength, his love for Ethan the heart of their pack. The bite that had saved Ethan had changed him, but it was their love that defined him. Every time Lucas caught his sin desire, joy, or even fear, it was a reminder of what they'd fought for. They weren't perfect, but they were together, and that was enough. As they stood on their porch, watching the sunset paint the forest gold, Ethan leaned into Lucas's warmth. "You still smell me," he teased. Lucas laughed, pulling him close. "Every damn day. And I'll never stop wanting you." Their kiss was a promise, sealed by the forest that had brought them together, a testament to a love that had survived the impossible. The dangerous alpha had bitten him to save him, and in doing so, they'd saved each other.